Mail Call from the United States of America. Stand by, Americans. Here's Mail Call, one big package of words and music and laughter delivered to you by the stars from whom you want to hear.
Hey, I'm trying something new today, and I'm going to call it Mail Call. You know, between the Yankee Prepper website and the Yankee Prepper YouTube channel, I get a ton of electronic mail every day. PMs, emails, comments, questions, inquiries. And some of the questions are really good, and I'm sure other people would be interested in the answers. And a lot of it is just great feedback that oftentimes lifts me up and actually motivates me to go on. And I would also like to address that in a video format like this. Now, I know this is going to come as a shock to many of you, but occasionally I do receive bad feedback, and that might be fun to share. Inevitably, I say something that insults someone, or I say something somebody doesn't agree with, and they can't stop watching my channel, so they write me some flaming, raging comment or PM. And some of those are pretty funny. It would be fun to share those. And every once in a while, I'll block someone, and this totally destroys their whole life, as if everything counted on being best friends with Yankee Prepper on YouTube. And they'll write me 4-page essay diatribes going over how crappy I am and how evil I am for doing this, and now I've destroyed everything and just ruined everything. Even though I have never met them, said a word to them, I don't even know who they are.
Number one. Ooh. I hate you. Number two. The friendship is over. Number three. Don't ever call me again.
And believe it or not, that's how a lot of those PMs start out for me. But I'm not going to concentrate on that Jerry Springer side of YouTube. I'm actually going to try to concentrate on the real questions and the feedback that I get. So with that, why don't we just start? I actually picked out just a bunch of new questions. So if you've got an old question that hasn't been answered, throw it at me again, and I'll try to put it into this format into the future. I've made up a new folder for it, and I'm just going to dump them into there and then try to address them in future vids. The first question I have is about the TW200 motorcycle rack that I built. It's from Jaeger, or Jaeger. It's Jager. His question is, I assume you haven't had to reinforce the racks any for the weight? I'm buying a TW200 soon, and I am planning on making a rack similar to yours. Actually, I did make one small modification on it, and I'm going to take you outside and show you that right now. The Conduit motorcycle racks have been great. They've been very solid, and they've worked for me perfectly. I actually thought this would be a weak spot where it hooks onto the frame. I thought I might have to put in a washer there. That's easy enough, but I haven't had to. There's been no cracking. It's been very solid. There's been some paint chipping from the plastic clips, but that's no big deal. I can hit that with a can of spray paint before the year's end. I've had up to 150 pounds on top of this rack, and it was bouncing around a little bit, and I didn't like that. So the only modification that I've made for this rack is just welding on a piece of conduit that goes onto the back there. But otherwise, the rack has held up awesome. Next question is from Gary Mule's Prepper Homestead. I remember from years back a video you did on storing gourds. If I recall correctly, they were in your garage on racks. I have searched your channel with no luck. This year has been a great year for my pumpkins, and would love to see that video again. Hope all is well in Minnesota. Hey, thanks. Things are good in Minnesota. You know, I've taken that video down, but storing gourds, pumpkins, squash is really easy. God made it really easy. They are perfect, the perfect food to store over the winter. Just make sure they don't freeze. Keep them dry, and if you can, separate them out. That's why I put them on racks, and just keep them in the dark. And I've had, some squash, like the acorn squash, they'll keep all winter. Butternut you should probably eat first, and pumpkins are a great one to dehydrate, but they will keep probably more than half your winter as well. Just keep them from freezing. I have a kind of a root cellar down here that I put them in, and so they don't freeze, but it's pretty cool in there. But if you do that, you can keep those gourds a long time. Anyway, thanks, man. The next question I got is from Mark Vello, and it's in comment form on my do-it-yourself winter tent, hot tent camping project part 1. Mark says, I really appreciate your vids and everything you do to help people help themselves. It's inspired me to take the initiative on learning how to do more things on my own. Some days it feels like 2 steps back, but part of the learning experience. I love this idea of the tent so much, I too picked up a stove, and this 18 by 18 foot teepee will come in handy in so many different occasions rather than a hotel. I'm looking forward to getting her in shape for winter. I know you're a busy guy, but just wondering on part 2 to hopefully get ahead of the window issue, especially before it gets cold. Even a comment response for the material used or whatever would be helpful. Thanks again for all you do. Mark, why don't I just take you over and show you? I'm not ready to put that vid up yet because, like with a lot of things, it just happens when it happens. So last year I kind of finished up on that tent after testing it out, and I'll start to pick that up as the winter season comes on again. I did make the windows for it. I got it pretty complete, and we'll put part 2 up, but probably not in time for what you want. Let me take you over and just show you what I did. Here's the teepee and its duffel bag. That's what I packed it up in from its last winter campaign. And here are the windows that I used to replace the horrible window material that came with the teepee originally from the manufacturer. This is marine grade vinyl. I ordered a roll off of eBay and just cut them out for the window openings, and I secured them with Velcro because I want to be able to remove the windows. Sometimes a hot tent, even on a cold winter day, can just get too hot, and I wanted to be able to open the windows up accordingly depending on my needs. So I used marine grade vinyl, a little bit of Velcro. You don't have to have them removable. You could just sew the marine grade vinyl straight in. Marine grade vinyl will take the harsh winter conditions that you'll run into up here in the north. So I did use that for a little while at the end of the season last year, and it held up really nice. I mean, it does get stiffer, but it's not going to break out on you. So that's what I did to replace the windows. Next question is from Billy Hunt. It's on my how to make SHTF bread the easy way. I've got over 90,000 views on this and over 600 thumbs up. It's a great recipe if you guys haven't tried it. Billy says, I tried your recipe. I used fresh rapid rise yeast. It barely rose. Quite flat on the pan. So disappointing. Any ideas what happened? Billy, if your bread didn't rise, it's user error. Either the water that you used to activate the yeast was too cold or too hot. So it never, came back to life, or you killed it with too hot of water, or where you put the bread to let it rise, it was too cold for the yeast to survive. That's really the key to all breads and using yeast. You have to have the right temps. So I would check your temps. It's user error. Try again, please. Next question comes on my Hunting Public Land Part 1 Scouting vid. This question comes in from Ronan X4. I love this guy. He's a longtime viewer of mine. Now that was a throwback to the videos of old. I just need to figure out the Darton compound I bought at the 50 bucks at a pawn shop. Wanted to get into archery cheap and cherry. Think you can do a rundown on your bow for noob archers? I don't think the trolls can really give you too much shit over that, though I'm sure they will try. Looking forward to the series. Hey man, that's no problem. I'll be glad to go over my bow. I try to keep things simple on a bow. I mean, I think that's what the strength of a bow is. It's a very simplistic technology. However, I wanted to say I'm not afraid of the shit that the trolls can give me over that. That's never bothered me. In fact, I like to give it back to them. They're pretty easy to make fun of. But I just don't want to be affiliated with them. That's the reason why I took down a lot of those old vids. There's no bar in prepping to separate you from the idiots and pretenders. So that's the reason why I took down a lot of those. I just don't want to be affiliated with the junk. But anyway, let's move on to my bow. I'll show you what I got. So here's my bow, and I wanted to say first that I totally agree with you on getting into archery cheap and cherry. It's very easy to do that. I would never ever consider buying a brand new system, not unless you just need it for bragging rights. You can get into a very good bow for half price or less. There's so many people that get into archery. They do it for a year or two and then they sell off the bow because it's not really what they want to do. I mean, archery's hard. It's a lot harder than firearms or even the musket. I love it though. Once you get into it, it's really hard to get out of it if you take to it. I run here a Matthews Solo Cam, and that's a top of the line bow, probably $1,000 the way I've got it outfitted or more, and I got into it for less than half price. I mean, it was like brand new from a guy that tried it out, went out and bought top of the line, and then had to give it up because he didn't like it. I run a ripcord felt notch. Set the arrow in there, and when you release, it automatically goes down. It's a real smooth operation, doesn't put any drag on the arrow. For sights, I run Bone Collector Apex fiber optics illuminated. It's real sweet. Now, I've never had to use the actual battery powered illumination on it, but I wanted it because it's just so cool. It's just so cool. But they are seriously really nice sights. Show up nice and bright. I mean, I've never had to hunt past dark to need them on. but it only takes a little bit of light collected through those fiber optics to light up your sightings. It's just neat. One of the other things I really recommend is a braided wrist strap on here, just so you can relax your grip without worrying about dropping your bow. And then I put a Viper string on. That's top of the line. So yeah, that's my bow, and it's cool. Pretty easy stuff. The last bit of advice I would give you is just to find yourself a good local archery shop. Archery guys are usually really good guys, and it's fun to go there just to talk new tricks and old tricks with them. They won't care if you got your bow off of Craigslist or if you bought it through them or somewhere else. They'll be glad to help you out with your bow. Okay, next question is in a private message, so I'm going to do my best to abbreviate this, and I'm not going to give you the guy's name. It says, just finished a 5 megawatt 40-acre solar farm in blah blah blah, the southeast of the US. Please do a Google search for blah blah blah, and you can check out that I'm legit. One of the two landowners is Mexican, and he's talking about planting coffee on his farm. Going to be right up front and tell you I know jack diddly about coffee, love the smell of it, and brew it regularly for my wife, but don't think I can drink it myself. Never have, not once. I do, however, have a damn fine business pedigree, and something tells me this is an opportunity to do something unusual. Given that you have bought, brokered, roasted, and sold coffee, I would like to get your counsel on whether this idea is worth pursuing. I am reachable via email, cell phone, home phone, blah, 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 whatever. Thanks in advance for your thoughts. All the best. Hey, you know, I wish you all the best, too. I'm not going to call you or email you. I'll tell you right up front. There's a million reasons why I can tell you that coffee has never been grown in North America. You know, to somebody that's been in coffee, those reasons are very obvious, but I'm not going to waste any time there. This is just, you know, it's just not going to work. If you have a good business pedigree, I suggest you do just some very simple, basic research on this, and that'll give you your answers. But I'll tell you, that would be, plainly, it would be stupid. Anyway, next question. Next question is another coffee business question. It's a private message, so I'm not going to give you his name. Yankee, this is blah 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 here. I ordered coffee from you in the past and definitely enjoy all your videos. My wife and I have purchased a commercial coffee roaster, and we are looking to buy some bulk coffee. We think you have great knowledge of beans, and we are wondering if you had any interest in brokering to us or sending us in the right direction. Let me know what you think. My number is blah blah blah. What I think. Well, right off the bat, the first thing that comes to me is before you ever invested in a commercial coffee roaster, you probably should have had a source for beans. You're going to need, you know, to know who your audience is, because if you're just getting into this and you've never roasted before, fine coffee is definitely not your target audience. Thousands of people go into the coffee business every year, and there's a reason why Craigslist and eBay is flooded with coffee equipment, because they don't make it. You know, coffee roasting and the coffee business in general, to me, is a lot like photography. People have this idea that it's just so easy. I'll just go out and buy a coffee roaster, or I'll go out and buy a really expensive camera, and then I'm a photographer. And they quickly find out that they have no talent for this. There is talent needed for this. You know, it takes a lot of practice. People actually have titles of master roaster. And around here, I know there's a company that gives lessons in roasting, and I think the basic lessons in roasting is $5,000 to start out with. And that's just the basics. You're not even a master roaster when you get out. You know, if you've bought a commercial coffee roaster already without having a source of beans or knowing what you're going to do with it, or you don't even know how to roast, or you don't know what coffee to get, man, I think you've got this all backwards. It's not the way I would approach it. I would say, you know, you've got things upside down. If you've just tried a few coffees from me and now you want to go into the business, it's a pretty tight business. I've spent a big part of my life in this passion, finding coffee plantations, brokering, finding niches in it. You know, I deal mostly with micro roast now, and I'm not a broker. You know, what I have on my website is basically selling to people that want a very unique experience with coffee and that want really small micro roast harvests. and I don't sell bulk. And I might pass on my information to my kids or my very best friend, but I'm certainly not gonna take you by the hand and tell you everything that I've learned about coffee to try to get you started in this. That's not my business, and I really don't want to do it, and I think you're going about it in the exact opposite way that I would even if I was just starting out. You need to get all these other things in line before you go out and buy a commercial coffee roaster. So I'm just going to pass on that. That's my advice to you. I'm not in the business to train people how to start businesses or do businesses. It's going to take you a long time to get up to the point where you're actually selling on a market. My first question would be, do you even know how to store the green beans? Because they take on the smells of wherever you're storing them. So you want to be very careful even how you treat those green beans when you get them in, once you figure out where you're going to get your green beans. So anyway, good luck with that, but that's not what I'm doing here, and I really don't want any part of that. Next comment, it was actually on my hunting public land part 1 and scouting. It's not as much a question as it is a statement that I totally agree with, and I wish maybe I'll put it in a future vid when I'm talking about hunting that public land, but I wanted to get it out there as just a good tip to pass on. Moj Smug, it's MOJSMG. He writes in, this has been a long time viewer of mine as well, and I like the guy. He writes in, I've been hunting public land all my life here in Wisconsin, right next door to me. You're 100% spot on when you said most people just tend to stay right on or near the beaten trails and paths. I've always found the best areas to be deep within the land. More often than not, the good stuff is more than a mile in. My best spot ever is 2 miles in, going over marshes and old cranberry bogs to reach a series of good-sized patches of oak birch islands. That place has almost never failed me in seeing deer as well as harvesting them. Only downside is trying to drag a deer out through that stuff. But still, it's worth it. Awesome video, Yankee. Best of luck to you on your hunt. Hope you can fill your tags. Hey man, same to you. And thanks for this this comment. I actually was regretting, you do vids and you're trying to fit everything in 10-15 minutes. It's really impossible. That's what people don't understand, that you're only going to learn really the top part of it watching vids. You got to get out there and actually experience it and do it. But that is a great point, and I want to pass it on. Here's a statistic for you. Most hunters won't go more than a quarter mile, maybe a half mile from their vehicle when they hunt. And most hunters will not go more than 100 yards in to hunt. So if you're just willing to go 300 yards into the woods, you're going to be alone most cases. And that's what I'm trying to pass on. And this guy definitely, I've never went 2 miles in unless I've got an ATV. I think dragging a deer out 2 miles is that's pretty tough. But if you're willing to go a little deeper into public land than 90% of the guys out there, they're just not willing to walk that far. They're out of shape, and the deep woods can be a scary place, and you can get lost a lot easier. But he's right. I guess he's agreeing that I'm right, and I'm agreeing that he's right, and I think it's worth passing on that if you guys out there want to pursue hunting public land, a big ace in your pocket is if you're just willing to go a little deeper into the woods. All right, next question comes in the form of a comment on my do-it-yourself how to home roast coffee. It's got 110,000 views with 902 thumbs up. This question is from Stephen Redondo. I've bought a few batches of green beans from you. Very pleased, thank you. And I was wondering if you dealt with Blue Mountain coffee, and what is your opinion on Blue Mountain coffee? Steve, first off, thank you for your orders. I do appreciate it. And secondly, pointing to your question, brother, have I dealt with Blue Mountain Jamaican coffee? I have been there. I've been there several times. In fact, I'm going to show you a quick vid right here. If you notice it skips around a little bit, it's because I've taken the images out of me, but I wanted to share with you one of my trips when I actually went to the top of the Blue Mountains in Jamaica.
Have you ever hiked to the top of the mountain? Stood there, lay down in the grasses like we did. Got me
I've been to almost every coffee plantation on the Blue Mountains of Jamaica. That video was just of one of the plantations. I made that slideshow up last time that I went to send out to family and friends, and I've never shared that on YouTube, so that's the first time that video has ever made it to YouTube. I used to sell Blue Mountain Jamaica around Christmas time and New Year's at my brick and mortar stores as well. So not only can I give you an opinion about Blue Mountain Jamaica, I can actually give you some boots on the ground experience with it. Blue Mountain coffee is a very fine coffee. It's a unique coffee, a rich coffee. It's a good coffee. However, bottom line is it's really not worth the price. The only reason Blue Mountain is so expensive, because you can expect to pay $50 to $75 a pound for Blue Mountain, it's not because it's such an exceptionally good coffee. It's all about demand and supply. Supply and demand. You see, the Japanese love Blue Mountain Jamaican coffee. It's been marketed very well there. In fact, they love it so much, they purchase 75 to 80% of what's available from harvest every single year. And that's what inflates the price to that $50 to $75 a pound. So truly, Steve, it's not worth that price. I mean, if someone can get that price, that's great, but it's not worth that price per se in the quality of the coffee. In fact, you know, I would say there's a lot of coffees that I'm offering up right now on my website that are as good or even better than Blue Mountain Jamaica, and that's selling for 13 bucks a pound. But it's, you know, the Japanese don't want 80 to 75% of the harvest of those coffees. So, you know, the coffee world can be like that. Price is, you know, there's limited supplies of fine coffee and limited supplies of that fine coffee from certain areas. And if someone's buying it up, it's really going to exaggerate that price. And so that's why I don't carry it now. And, you know, my opinion, bottom line, is that I really don't feel like it should call that price. In the real world, if there wasn't such a limited amount of it, it wouldn't call that price on the open market based on the quality of the coffee. So I hope that answers the question for you. And by the way, if you find Blue Mountain Jamaica that's less than $50 a pound, let's say, you know, sometimes you see Blue Mountain Jamaica in airports or somewhere and it's selling for, you know, 20 bucks a pound, that's not 100% Blue Mountain Jamaica. It's probably a 10% or even a 5% mix, and they can sell it as Blue Mountain Jamaican coffee. So don't be fooled by that. That's not 100% pure Blue Mountain Jamaica. Okay, I think that's the last question I'm going to take. I've been going on here for over 25 minutes, and I do have other things I have to get done today. But this was fun. I like this. I can give answers to questions in detail, and I can even take you out and show you what I'm talking about. So that's kind of cool. This will be another cool format to work with. However, you know, keep in mind, I don't want to be your life coach, and I don't want to be your business partner or your business mentor. I mean, some of these questions, I really don't think, if you want my advice, I don't think you should be looking for this kind of information on YouTube or asking me. I don't want to get involved in on that level of your life, or I don't want to give out marital advice or any kind of life coaching like that. You know, I'll show you how I make stuff, or really it's a do-it-yourself channel. It's not Yankee do it for you or try to mimic Yankee in some way. It's just a do-it-yourself channel, guys. That's all. Remember, this is YouTube. I'll try to help you out as best I can, but I don't want to get involved in on the details of, you know, your personal life or your business decisions. So anyway, I will talk to you later, hopefully, and I'll catch you in another Q&A later on. Bye-bye.